Hello crafty friends, it's Alicia of the Call Me Crafty Al YouTube channel, and in today's video I'm back with my second alternative using the November 2019 paper pumpkin kit, Winter Gifts. I hope you'll stick around and see what I'm going to make. If this is your first time to my channel, I hope by the end of this video that you'll be inspired to click on that subscribe button below and maybe even tap on that bell for notifications. If you're already a subscriber and regular viewer, welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here again. Like I mentioned in the intro, I am back today to create my second alternative for the month of November. Yesterday, I shared a video where I created my first alternative, which is the card you see here in front of you. If you would like to see how I made this, I do have it linked in the description box below, and I will pop it up as an end card after this video is over. As soon as I saw all of these little punch outs in this month's kit, I knew that I wanted to try to make these into a wreath of some sort. So for today, I will be creating a focal point with 16 of these and the red tag with the wood grain circle in the center. Let's go ahead and see what else I'll be using today. For my card today, I will be using a combination of pieces from the kit and pieces from my own stash. I'm going to go over what I think I'm going to use, but if I add anything later, I will let you know. From the kit, as I mentioned before, I'll be using this tag and 16 of the little limbs. I got out the fishtail banner. This is the white cardstock one. The silver sequins, the shaded spruce Stampin' Spot, the green ribbon, and silver thread. From the stamp set, I will be using the Love and Joy stamp. And then you'll notice here in the background, I have kind of like the trash or the negative parts of that deer punch out piece. For my non-kit items, I will be using a die from this circle set. And what I did was I tried to find a size that fit nicely with that wood grain circle in the center of the tag. I got out some red pearls. These were from the Dollar Tree. I've had these for years. A doily die from Paper Tray Ink and a scrap of vellum. I will be using the Park Lane Diagonal Stripe Embossing Folder from JoAnn. I thought this kind of reminded me of a candy cane. I got out a scrap of red cardstock and then a piece of heavyweight white. Make sure that if you have any questions at the end of this video that I did not answer, to leave those in the comments section below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Let's get crafty. To get started on this process, I got my trimmer out and I cut my white piece of cardstock to 4 1/4 inches wide and then folded that in half to get my card base. This second piece of white was cut to 3 1/2 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Once I had that piece cut down, I held it up with my tag on the card front, and I decided I wanted that to be a little bit thinner. So I left it at 5 1/2 inches tall, but I cut it down to 3 1/4 inches wide. I am going to be bordering that white piece with red cardstock and some of the silver scraps from the kit. Because I don't know the exact placement next to this white piece yet, I ended up just cutting 2 strips of that red cardstock that was 1 inch wide by 5 1/2 inches tall. Then I got out the silver deer scrap and I cut some strips off that were a 1/2 inch wide and left them at whatever height they currently were. Before I can adhere these pieces together, I went ahead and embossed that white piece with the diagonal stripe embossing folder. Then I spent a little bit of time, most of it off camera, figuring out exactly the order I wanted the pieces to go in. I did decide to put the silver right next to the white cardstock, and then I placed the red cardstock next to that. To do this, I just put some adhesive on the back edges of the white piece. And then I did the same with the red cardstock, just putting some adhesive on the back of the silver piece. The next step is to get my layered piece onto my card front. I did pull out my big blue roll of foam tape, and I do say big, and you might not think this roll is that large, but it actually comes about twice as wide as that when I first got it. If you want to check this out, I do have it linked in the description box below. I think it's super economical for the amount you get. They do sell a few different widths, so I will make sure to know which one I am showing here in my video. Once that piece was on the card front, it is time to start making my focal point. I'm going to start by doing some die cutting, and first I will be cutting that scrap of vellum with the doily die. Once I have that kind of wrestled out of the die, I will be using that circle die to cut out that center wood portion on my tag. I'm using some Scotch removable tape here, and you can actually reuse it, but what it does is holds that die in place while I run it through the die cutter. I am going to be using that wooden circle that I just cut out to hide the middle portion of the wreath that I'm going to build, but I do need some cardstock behind this tag to start building that with. So all I did was add some adhesive to the back of my tag, placed a scrap of white cardstock, and then trimmed out the extra white. That backer also gives me something to adhere my vellum doily to. I just put a little adhesive in the center of the doily and then press that down onto the white portion. Now to start building my wreath. What I'm going to do is use a mini glue dot that came with the kit to adhere each branch to that vellum doily. I tried to kind of do like a clock formation for these, so I started by putting glue dots at midnight, 3, 6, and 9, and then I went back around and I put one halfway between each of those, and then I went around again and put another one halfway between the ones I just placed. So that means I have 16 mini glue dots on there, and as I go to place my branches, I'm going to go kind of in that same order. You'll see that each time that I go to place a branch, that I try to make it at 12 o'clock or right at the top center. This way the angle I'm placing at those stays kind of consistent. While this looks pretty time consuming, it wasn't too bad, and I really like the final effect I got on this. I will be using the wood grain circle that I die cut earlier to hide all of the glue dots in the center of this wreath. But before I can place that onto the tag, I need to get my sentiment ready and adhere to that circle. Now you're going to see here how the stamp, because it's new, it's stamping kind of splotchy. So what I did was I got out some Versamark ink, inked up the stamp, and then inked it up with the green. And you'll notice how much nicer and solid the stamp looks after this. When you go to do additional stamps of the same image, you will not need to ink it up with the Versamark. You can go right to the colored ink, and you'll see here what the final tag looks like. I am going to adhere that sentiment flat down onto the wood grain circle, and then before I get the tag ready, I do want to go ahead and add some ribbon to the top. I cut about 6 inches here. I thread that through the hole at the top of the tag, and then to get that to stay in place, I use probably another 6 inches of the silver thread to tie a bow right above where the tag and the ribbon meet. I'm going to pull back out my foam tape roll to add my tag to the card front. I just put 3 quick strips of the tape on the back of the tag and then place that in the bottom center of the card front. Once that was in place, I then used the same foam tape on the back of my circle and centered that right in the opening on the tag. Originally, I was thinking about using the red pearls, but once I saw how large they were, I did not think that they would really fit with the card. So I pulled out some red gems from my stash and placed 3 small ones centered below the sentiment tag. Here is a look at the finished card. I hope you enjoyed that look at how I created today's card. If you did, as always, I appreciate a thumbs up. Until my next video, I hope you're having a crafty day. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch all the way to the end of the video. I hope that you'll consider clicking on one of the videos or playlists I have linked above, and if you're interested in any of the products or tools that I use in the video, I do have some links in the description box.